I have had such a good question in my messages about how do you reduce the amount of cortisol and adrenaline in your body when you haven't got the energy to exercise? And it has got such wide application that I thought I would do a video that you can all benefit from, as well as the person that sent me the message. Obviously, if there are any things that you would like me to specifically cover in one of these training videos, drop me a message, let me know, and I will sort you out. So, we generally know, many people know, you may not know, you're about to learn that um, when we have a lot of stress, there's lots of hormones and things that go on in the body, and we can have an excess of cortisol and adrenaline, and that makes us feel permanently on edge. And it also can disrupt things like sleep and our ability to relax and switch off. And one of the common remedies for this excess in the body is to do exercise. But what do you do when you're absolutely knackered and the idea of putting yourself through a grueling workout just isn't available to you? Okay. So I am all about doing what you have, doing what you need to do with the energy and time available to you. Okay. And so what I want to do today is talk you through some alternatives, but also to talk through a little bit about how do we get to the place where we've got too much cortisol and adrenaline in the first place, and what's some stuff that you can do to reduce that. Because prevention, in my mind, is always better than cure. Like if we don't have to have so much of the issue, we don't have to deal with so much of the issue. So generally as people, and I think I'm just going to say all people, some of you lucky chaps and chapesses may not be in this position, but broadly we all are. We are constantly bombarded with stresses in our day, whether it's notifications on our phone, the news, people in our attention, like kids, if you've got kids, clients, colleagues, all of the things, we're constantly bombarded. And all of these little things, whether or not they're threats or not, the constant stimulus feels like a bombardment and a stress and a threat to our nervous systems. And so we're constantly on high alert, waiting for the next thing to come in, or even going and looking for the next thing to come in, because a lot of us are also primed to look for chaos and that is our normal, okay? I'm primed to look for chaos because we grew up in environments that were sometimes chaotic. So we're primed to look for the chaos because we want to manage the chaos. And although we don't really want the chaos in our lives right now, because it's normal for our systems, we kind of go and invite it in, even if we don't do so intentionally. So there's lots and lots of things going on that mean that the vast majority of people are in this overstressed state where they constantly have too much adrenaline, too much cortisol flinging through the body. So the first thing to do is to start to notice the things that you are doing in your life that cause you to feel stressed, that cause that tightness in the chest, that cause that drained feeling. What are you doing? Who are you around? Like, how was your sleep? All of these different pieces, and really making a conscious effort to do less of the stuff that creates the stress response and more of the stuff that doesn't. I have got various classes and things that you come and speak to me about them if you want to know more, that give you lots of body-based exercises that you can do so that your primary kind of orienting function isn't to orient to the stress, it's to start to orient to things that are a little bit more relaxing for your system. So over time you can teach your nervous system that it doesn't have to permanently be on the lookout for the chaos and the stress. But then very practically, do you turn your notifications off on your phone? Do you have time away from your phone? Do you make sure that you take yourself out for white space and quiet time in the day? Like all of these different things that you can do so that you aren't dealing with the same levels of adrenaline and cortisol in the body. So that is step one, reduce. Okay. But what happens when shit hits the fan? Like we all have things that we would rather not happen, but we can't control. And so the first thing to do when you notice that stress response coming, when you notice the threat or the feeling or the tight chest, we do something that might feel a little bit counterintuitive, but bear with me for a minute. We actually go and look for the threat. Okay. If you think about it, our brains, they're like millions of years old, not your particular brain, like how our brain patterns are wired. And we are primed for looking for the saber-toothed tiger, that kind of threat. And so what happens when we experience a perceived threat is we get this dump of adrenaline, then we get this dump of cortisol designed to help us to run or fight. Your notifications on your phone don't require you to run or fight, or at least hopefully not most of the time. And so we have all of this excess stuff in our bodies that doesn't get used up. But right at the start, when that first threat comes in, our bodies, which are incredible, will determine the level of threat and then will release an amount of adrenaline that is enough to meet that perceived threat and a little bit more because we want to make sure we've got enough, right? And so if you can very, very quickly give your body a signal that the threat isn't real and it's okay, the amount of adrenaline that will be produced and then knock on the amount of cortisol that is then produced will be less. So this is kind of step two. So step one, just reduce the things that are going to cause it. Step two, once it happens, how do we minimize the amount of adrenaline and cortisol that gets released in the first place? And we do something called orienting to the threat. Okay. So imagine you hear a bang, your body's like, shit, something's there. Okay. Now, if you don't look and your body imagines an intruder's just coming through the window, you're getting a lot of adrenaline to deal with that situation. Okay. But when we orient to threat, and this is literally looking around, like properly pacing, I'm not going to get up now, but pacing around the room as if you are properly looking for the threat because you're teaching the body of like, I'm going in for this, I'm looking for the threat. And all of a sudden you realize the plant pot's fallen off the wall. So immediately you're like, oh, it's fine, it's no big deal. And the body can be like, okay, we don't need so much adrenaline to deal with this. We just need to get up, pick the pot up, maybe pick the soil up, like it's a bit annoying, but it's not. An intruder's just coming through my window. So that's the first thing we do. This is called defensive orienting. So scout around the room, and you could do this even, yeah, imagine you've got a task coming up or you've got a meeting coming up and you notice you're starting to feel panicky. Orient to the threat. I'm trying to think, one of the ladies that came to one of my classes gave it a really great name. I can't think what she called it, but it was basically like search for the danger. So you just go around because in that movement, in that looking around, very quickly you're sending signals to your body of like, oh, it's okay. Like there is no saber-tooth tiger. So that is step one. And then what you're probably going to notice at this point is there's still a bit of a stress response in the body because the adrenaline response is fast, right? It's super, super fast. So it's not like you can completely stop it by going and checking out for the threats. So you're going to still have some stuff in the system then. And so this is where we want to move and use some of that adrenaline. But remember, the question here is, how do I do this when I haven't got the energy to exercise? Okay, so I'm going to give you three options depending on energy availability. So the first thing to do is to push. So you get yourself into a strong stance position. So I'm going to still do this sat down, but imagine yourself in like a squat position or like a bit of a squat, as in like you're getting ready to squat, or one where you've got your legs slightly staggered. So one in front of the other. If you're going to push against something, but you want to give yourself a really strong base, that's what you're doing with your legs. So sort of slightly staggered, knees slightly bent, core engaged, that kind of situation. And you can either push against a wall, really push against a wall, or I've got a desk in front of me now, push against a desk. And you do this just for a few seconds, and it's a very controlled, very contained movement. Because remember that our bodies are addicted to and like the chaos, but it's not good for our nervous systems. So it doesn't want to be like some like random flailing of your arms around. It's very concentrated, just a few seconds. Push, 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 push. Or push into a wall, push, 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 push. Or you can even just push the air, but you create more tension by really pushing. You know, like imagine you pushing against them, really pushing, push, 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 push. Then on the other side as well, push, 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 push. And that just helps to dissipate some of the adrenaline, but you aren't having to go and lift weights or do other things. So that's option one, pushing. Pushing is great for loads of things, by the way. When you feel annoyed, stressed, there's stuff in the body, just give it a go. Start to push things. Notice what happens. And then if you have a little bit more energy, you might try something like just 30 seconds of running on the spot, but really simple, really gentle. Nothing, again, no crazy arm movements, just very contained, just 30 seconds of running on the spot, okay? Just to move out some of that adrenaline. That might not feel available. It's like, I'm too tired, I'm not doing it. No way, okay? So there are two options, both require a little bit of movement and a little bit of energy, but not loads. And then your third option to help move some of this stuff out of the system is to use vibration. Okay. So you might, if you have like one of those little mini trampolines that were popular in the 80s and 90s, you might jump on one of those again for 30 seconds. But if you want no movement whatsoever, then get something like you can get these like vibrating neck massager things. And I've also got a I don't think what it's called. It's like a deep tissue massage. It's got lots of different fittings on, and it vibrates, and there's different levels of intensity, and you can use it. I was going to say all over your body. If your mind's gone there, it's not for that. But that again, really, really good at just releasing the tension and the adrenaline and the cortisol from the body. Like vibration is really, really good for us. So if you've had a busy day, spending like 30 seconds on a rebounder or just doing something with like one of those massage things or I'm trying to like a massage gun, basically. I mean, mine was half price on Amazon. I think it was about £40, and you can get the neck massages for about £25. So you know, they're not super expensive, but all really, really good ways to just move through the the adrenaline and the cortisol. And then from a supporting the mind perspective, because we want to do this in a holistic way, right? From a supporting the mind perspective, so we've realized that there isn't really a threat. Obviously, if there is a threat, deal with it. We have given our brain the signal so that it doesn't need to release quite so much adrenaline and cortisol. And then we've given it a tool to use some of this. Also, if you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't go back to sleep, pushing against the wall, pushing against the mattress, just to use up some of that, you know, and you might need a bit of a sigh like that as well, just getting it all out, right? Um, but what can then also be super helpful is the thing that originally caused the stress to take a focused action in respect of that thing that caused the stress. So that might be just literally writing down something that you need to do. It might be doing a thing, but doing something that then takes you forward a little bit. Again, just really, really good to just help move this stuff through. So I hope that was super helpful. Tools in there for kind of minimizing the stress and cortisol in the first place, the adrenaline cortisol in the first place, how we then reduce how much gets released if we do have a stress, and how to manage it. So I hope that was super helpful. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like below. And if you would like more of this, there's an invitation for you to come and join my About Time membership. I do a weekly reset every single week, which focuses on some kind of tool that you can use to help with stress management, body-based stuff, mindset-based stuff. And these are all done live in my private Facebook group, which has been going since the start of November. So even if you joined now, there's already 20 plus weekly resets in there for you to dig into. The About Time membership is a program really designed to help you get exactly what you need from the actual time that you have. There is a portal of loads and loads of different trainings on a variety of different topics, like well-being as well as time management, that you can kind of dig into at any point, at any time, to really, really help you focus in on, okay, well, what do I need? What are my priorities? How am I taking care of myself? How am I going to get this stuff done without the burnout? All of that stuff is in a portal. And then in addition to the weekly resets and the portal, we meet as a group live every single week, where I help you personally to focus in on what you need to help you work through any stuck points, to help you, you know, if you say you've got to have a difficult conversation, do you want to have a go? Do you want to have a practice at it? Do you want to ask some questions around it? If you've got specific questions about your own stress levels or challenges in your life, I'm there to support you every single week so that you can keep building on this stuff, keep going, keep growing. And the great thing, or one of the great things about the membership, is it's completely flexible. So you come in, it's a monthly membership, you stay for as long as it feels helpful for you. And all that stuff is included for £200 a month. So it's a great, great, great offering. It really is the only space out there that I am aware of where you can get effective nervous system support, because there's a difference between this is going to help your nervous system and this is going to actually help your nervous system, alongside strategy stuff, mindset stuff, body-based stuff, and with a done with you component, so that I am there on hand to support you. I work with super small groups, so you're going to go into a small, close-knit community of wonderful, wonderful people doing this work, but there's not going to be like hundreds of people on calls. It's going to be small, small groups so that you really, really get the support that you need. So if that is of interest to you in any way, check out the info in the comments, and just come and say hi in my messages. Let me know what you need. Let's have a conversation about whether this space can support you. And otherwise, have a fabulous day, and I will see you in the next one of these that I do. Take care.